I think we're all very concerned about any moves that would curtail this critical pillar of our democracy here.
The danger, the concern is that we're heading in a direction that's very worrisome.
We are at a time of exceptional tumult, exceptionally aggressive moves being taken by the executive.
Press freedom is under pressure in Trump's America. These are the voices of prominent American journalists. I'm sure you know this room from many movies. This, for example, is the podium from which the president himself sometimes delivers remarks. However, you know, this room looks much more glamorous in Hollywood productions than it does in real life. Right next to the Oval Office it is, or at least was, a symbol of freedom of speech in this country. That feeling was shaken when Trump's spokesperson Caroline Leavitt announced that agencies like the Associated Press would no longer have access to the Oval Office until they used the term Gulf of America.
If we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America.
She also said that from now on, influencers and new social media outlets would be granted access. How does this impact the work of traditional journalists?
I've had my hard pass, as we call it, my access to the White House for several years. In the past, it was automatic that, for instance, a foreign puller would be in the Oval Office listening to the exchanges. Now, from one day to the other, we're not sure. There's more uncertainty.
Peter Baker is the White House correspondent with the New York Times. He spent hundreds of hours in this room. Today, I reach him via Zoom.
My wife and I were in Russia during the beginning of Putin's era, and that's the first thing he did when he began to consolidate power, was to put pressure on the independent media to take over the one main independent television network, to make sure that people reported only what he wanted them to report and to ask him only the questions he wanted to be asked. And we're not there, obviously, at this point, but the danger, the concern is that we're heading in a direction that's very worrisome.
Brian Glenn wants to talk outside. He says the other journalists are not very friendly to him. He works with Real America's Voice, a conservative streaming channel. Glenn gained international attention when he asked President Zelensky why he wasn't wearing a suit in the Oval Office.
I think this is a refreshing new approach to letting the American people see all sides of the story. And even with the addition of me being in the room, it's a privilege to work in the White House, in the briefing room, to travel on Air Force One. It's not a right.
But it's not only the change within the White House press pool that's concerning. The major cuts at America's international broadcasting state media network, Voice of America, also underline Donald Trump's understanding of free media.
The idea that taxpayer money, that government money, would go to support a news outlet that is seeking to provide verifiable and independent reporting with its own editorial judgment is an affront to the idea that somehow he control every message, he control every news cycle, he control every editorial judgment.
How should journalists adapt to this new world order?
Is a time when I think journalistic rigor, fairness, but muscular attention is perhaps most needed for our audiences and for the health of our democracy.